America sent money long before it sent soldiers to Europe. Before a single shot was fired by an American uniform, billions of dollars quietly crossed the Atlantic. By the time US troops set foot in France, Wall Street had already chosen its side. The Allies weren't just fighting Germany, they were fighting to avoid bankruptcy. And American banks were irreversibly involved in that fight. Welcome to History and Economics. This is where money, power, and history collide. And here, nothing is ever as simple as it looks. When war erupted in Europe in 1914, America was officially neutral. President Wilson said the United States was neutral in thought and in action. It sounded nice, but in the real world, neutrality is an expensive luxury, especially if you trade. And America was trading. A lot. Britain controlled the seas. Germany was under blockade. Global trade was turned upside down overnight. And America found itself right in the middle of this chaos. For Wall Street, that chaos wasn't a disaster. It was a massive opportunity. Europe needed everything: steel, wheat, oil, bullets. And the only large, neutral economy capable of supplying it all was the United States. By 1915, American factories were no longer working for peace but for war. Shifts grew longer, production increased, and coffers began to fill. At the very center of this system stood one name: J.P. Morgan Jr. His father was gone, but the bank he left behind was still the most powerful financial machine in the world. Morgan wasted no time. He turned his firm into the financial lifeline of the Allied powers. Britain appointed him as its official purchasing agent in the United States. France followed soon after. Morgan organized everything from locomotives to bullets and took a cut from every deal. On paper, America was still neutral. In reality, the American economy was now tied directly to the Allied war machine. And then the money ran out. By late 1915, Britain's gold reserves were running dry. The solution was simple but desperate. Load tons of gold onto ships and send it to America. There are photographs from that time showing armed guards escorting gold through New York Harbor. An empire was moving its treasury just to stay alive. When the gold ran out, Morgan stepped in with credit. He arranged a loan of $500 million, unprecedented at the time. Then the number kept growing. Within 2 years, it exceeded $2 billion. A quick comparison: the annual US federal budget at the time wasn't even half that size. In other words, America's private banks were effectively financing the Allied war. If Britain or France lost, that money would vanish, and Wall Street would collapse with it. Everyone knew this. Wilson knew it. The Treasury knew it. Everyone in Washington could see the truth by looking at the balance sheets. Neutrality was no longer an option, but the public didn't know. Americans didn't want war. The wounds of the Civil War were still fresh. Wilson won the 1916 election with the promise, "He kept us out of war." Behind closed doors, though, a very different story was unfolding. By the end of 1916, Allied credit lines were on the brink of collapse. If Britain couldn't secure new financing, it would go under. Meanwhile, Congress had begun questioning whether private banks were dragging the country toward war. Morgan found another workaround. He hid loans inside export contracts. He routed money through Canada and South America. On paper, everything was just trade, but even that couldn't last forever. In early 1917, Britain issued a blunt warning. If new credit doesn't arrive, we will default. That wouldn't just be the end of Britain, it would be the end of Wall Street. The banks were exposed on a massive scale. That winter, Morgan's representatives delivered a clear message to the Treasury: if Britain falls, we fall. And right then, the world handed them the perfect excuse. In 1915, a German submarine had sunk the Lusitania. 200 civilians died, 128 of them Americans. Newspapers exploded with outrage. Germany claimed the ship was carrying ammunition. Britain denied it. Years later, it turned out Germany was right. But at the time, no one cared about the truth. Even then, Wilson didn't rush into war. There was no need. The economy was booming. Banks were making money hand over fist, until not fighting became more dangerous than fighting. In 1917, Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare. Then came the Zimmermann telegram. Germany promised Mexico, Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico if it joined a war against the United States. Public anger exploded. In April 1917, Wilson stood before Congress and declared war. "The world must be made safe for democracy," he said. But the real issue was this: the world had to be made safe for American money. What followed was crystal clear. The private loans issued by Wall Street were transformed into public debt. Liberty bonds were issued. Ordinary citizens lent money to the government. In reality, the public assumed the bank's risks. The risk was no longer Wall Street's. It was the nation's. The war economy exploded. Factories filled. Profits shattered records. America's economy doubled. When the war ended, the United States was the world's largest creditor. Europe was in debt. New York had replaced London. This system shaped the 20th century. Wars were financed with debt. Debt turned into power. Power built empires. And at the heart of it all stood the Federal Reserve. It was created to stabilize the system, but over time it placed money at the center of politics. World War I marked the beginning of the modern financial age, and it taught us one simple lesson. Wars are always explained with ideals, but they run on money. So did America enter the war to save democracy or to save its banks? Probably both. But when history speaks, it doesn't listen to speeches. It reads the ledgers. The war made America rich. It made Wall Street global. It turned debt into power. America didn't occupy Europe. It took it over balance sheet by balance sheet. Flags change, but the ledgers always win. If this perspective resonated with you, subscribe. History has answers, and I'll show you where to look.